You know the old saying, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog? Kristi Noem doesn't. You may have heard that the Republican South Dakota governor's new book boasts about the time she shot and killed Cricket, a 14-month-old wire-haired pointer that crossed her. But have you heard the audiobook?
When I got back into my truck, Cricket was sitting in the passenger seat, looking like she had just won the lottery, the picture of pure joy. I hated that dog. As I drove home, I realized that I had no choice. Cricket was untrainable, and after trying to bite me, dangerous to anybody that she came in contact with. A dog who bites is dangerous and unpredictable. Are you listening, Joe Biden? I stopped the truck in the middle of the yard. I got out my gun, grabbed Cricket's leash, and I led her out into the pasture and down into the gravel pit. It was not a pleasant job, but it had to be done.
Now, you may already know that story, and also how moments later she came across a family goat and ended its life in that same gravel pit. But what you probably didn't know was that there were witnesses to the Kristi Noem spree killings, and they were pretty creeped out.
My uncle, who was the general contractor building our house, called me and he said, "What got into you today?" "Nothing," I responded. "Why?" He said, "Well, the guy said you came barreling into the yard with your truck, you slammed the door, took a gun and a dog over the hill out of sight. They heard one shot, you came back without the dog. Then you grabbed the goat and headed back up over the hill. Then they heard another shot. You came back, slammed the pickup door again, went back. They heard another shot, and then you came back without the goat. They said they hurried back to work before you decided they were next."
She put that in the book. Now, in the past week, Noem had been on a publicity tour for that book, which was obviously envisioned as part of a campaign to position herself as Donald Trump's possible vice presidential nominee. Unfortunately for Noem, it is not really playing out that way. The book rollout has been an unmitigated disaster, the worst I've seen in a while. In fact, I didn't even know it was possible anymore in American politics to have as bad of a week as Kristi Noem has had. We've all gotten used to so much insanity. I mean, the guy at the top of the Republican ticket for whom she's auditioning is sitting in a New York courthouse while an adult film actress talks about him paying her off so she wouldn't talk about a tryst between them that she said was the definition of bad sex. And yet, even under our new political rules, Kristi Noem has managed to implode spectacularly. Not simply because she killed an untrained puppy that did not hunt and a goat that smelled, but because her response was to keep the story alive and even embellish it.
The truth of the story is that this was a working dog, and it was not a puppy. It was a dog that was extremely dangerous.
Now, at one point, Greta Van Susteren tried to throw Noem a lifeline on good old Newsmax, pivoting from the puppy she shot and killed and the goat she shot and killed to the not one, not two, but three horses Noem reluctantly had to put down in that same gravel pit.
These horses were old. They were in their late 20s. They were our rodeo horses, ranch horses, and they raised my girls. They took care of them.
Amazingly, showing the pictures of the horses in the gravel pit and adding to the number of animals that she's had to kill did not boost her chances. But then another problem was discovered. Noem wrote in the book that she met North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un and stared him down. But it never happened, and it got pulled from the book. The thing is, it wasn't just a lie. It was a lie so ludicrous it demonstrated just how little she understands world affairs. In what universe is the leader of the so-called Hermit Kingdom meeting with the governor of South Dakota? Did Noem go on a little junket to Pyongyang? Kim do a state visit to Pierre that somehow flew under the radar? It was a dumpster fire, and she kept throwing fuel on it, leading to some of the most genuinely heart-stopping interview moments on live TV I've ever seen.
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un? That's what you're saying?
No, I've met with many world leaders. Many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that.
It's a simple question. Did you or did you not meet with Kim Jong-un?
That's the answer that I have for you.
Why am I being treated differently than every other person that you've interviewed? I've looked at your last several weeks.
I'm quoting you.
If you were writing the book today, would you include the dog story?
You know, this is a wonderful book. Did you read the book?
Not yet.
Oh, you should.
We've
Oh,
been
my
consumed
goodness.
with emails saying, I won't vote for this person. I won't vote for Trump if he puts her in the vice presidential spot.
Well, I'll tell you, Stuart, I'm sorry you're not hearing from real Americans that live on farms and ranches.
Governor, if you asked me a month ago who's at the top of the list to run with Donald Trump, I would have said your name. If you asked me that same question this morning, I don't even think you're on the list.
Really?
So my question for
why
you,
is that?
yes, really.
Noem was getting beaten up so badly that she stopped doing interviews altogether. She even canceled on Fox News, which they did not take well.
Today, she canceled on us. Yeah. The one time I actually read the book. We're moving forward with the interview. Standing in for Kristi Noem is somebody she wished she had listened to before she ever wrote the stupid book, Dana Perino. So, Dana, a.k.a. Governor Noem, did you write the book yourself?
You know, that's a great question for someone who wrote the book. And I don't think I will dignify your question with a response. And there are so many other important issues in the world, like animal cruelty.
Okay, you got to grade on a curve. It's not a comedy show. But if you think that's vicious, you should read the Amazon reviews of Noem's book, which the retail giant locked down after a flood of what they called unusual reviewing activity, including one reader who said, "My cat loved this book. He says Cricket was asking for it." So where does Governor Kristi Noem go from here? Apparently back home. A spokesman for Kristi Noem now says she has left her book tour, is going back to South Dakota to be prepared for some potential emerging bad weather systems. The title of Noem's book, by the way, is, wait for it, No Going Back. That is perfect. I have no notes.